Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Cogan. First and foremost, I would like to welcome you to today's live training. So, before we get started, I want to do a quick sound and visual check. So, if you can hear my voice loud and clear, as well as do you see the smiley face I just drew on the screen? Let me know by typing in yes, Jeff. And if you are new, let me know what part of the country you're from as well, so that way I know who's up in here, as they say. Denise, what's going on? What's going on, Kelly? What's going on, Patricia? What's going on? And let me see here. Are you guys hearing me? How come I'm not seeing the people actually saying they can hear me? What's going on, Victor? What's going on, Tom, Chantel, Patrick? Hey, what's going on, Nancy? Long time no talk. Latanya, Julio, Joanne, Janet, Debbie, Damon. What's up, Alejandro? And we got some people hopping on late. Okay, so cool. So today's kind of a special training that I want to kind of go over, and it's based on the surveys that you guys and gals take at the end of every live training. Okay, and based on that, I create these trainings, and I figure I talk about something, right? Where one of the core questions that was asked in the actual survey at the end was, they say, "Hey Jeff, how do I improve the results that I'm getting?" Or better way is, how do I get better at what I'm currently doing? And it dawned on me that with you guys in a group setting, right? I have never actually taught this kind of training. I've done it with my like private clients and live events that I've done, right? For some of you grizzled veterans who's been in here, you guys have heard me talk about this and where a lot of my philosophy in business has come from. But it really boils down to this concept. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this term, Kaizen. I am Japanese, so it's kind of ingrained in our philosophy since we're little. I lived in Japan when I was little as well. So let me know if you have ever heard of this term Kaizen, and I'm kind of giving you the answer for what it means right on the screen. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Now, if you have heard of it, do you actually apply it in everyday life, and or do you apply it in business? That's another question I have. If you have heard of it, never heard of it, never heard of it. Okay. Yeah. So if you haven't heard of it, what it really means, this term, is this. Okay, these little symbols here that looks like chicken scratches. Okay, it's called kanji in Japanese, and this is kai, and then zen. Another term for zen is like oh, zen, right? Okay, which means change in good, or another way to think about it is continual improvement. Okay, continual improvement. Another concept is, if you can become 1% better every single day than you were yesterday, then you're going to be that much more closer to the goals you set for yourself in the beginning of the year, or whenever you decide to set a goal, right? So I'm a huge believer on continual improvement. Some people are just like all in, go, hold out, yeah, but I like sure and steady. Okay, and the reason being is, if you grew up with the Eastern philosophy of business and stuff like that, we get drilled with this. I don't know if you have ever read this book, The Toyota Way, but if you haven't, I highly recommend for you guys and gals to read, especially if you have a team, or you have ambition of growing a team. Okay, now even if you don't have ambition of growing a team and stuff like that, these things are really helpful, because one of the things that they talk about in here, yeah, like I said, yeah, it's Six Sigma is another one. Yeah, lean. Yep, that's correct. Yeah, it's all part of it. Is this okay? Is this concept an idea of this? Plan, do, check, act. Right? Plan, do, check, act. All right. Please let me know if you're understanding so far what I'm talking about, because I'm about to go into kind of a philosophical thing that I believe in, but also at the same time, if you can take away one or two things from this, I think you're going to get tremendous amount of value, especially for this month and moving forward, when you're trying to go ahead and get faster results. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so pick it up. Okay, it's good. They'll talk about the actual, how the manufacturing, lean manufacturing, stuff like that, in the Six Sigma on there, and really the philosophy is this. especially it is more important now than ever, is this: why it's no longer the big that eats the small. It's the fast that eats the slow. I'll say it again. Why it's no longer the big that eats the small. It's the fast that eats the slow. What does that mean right now? Is that technology is disrupting every darn industry. Okay. And for us in the real estate space to think that we are not touched, like we're untouchable, that's foolish. And if you've been following me for a long time, you guys and gals know that I am a big believer on a disruption is required in our industry. And it's happening right now. Now, the issue and challenge is you can think that it's not happening, or you can actually come to a place and says, yes, it is going on. Yes, it is happening. So let me take advantage of what's happening. And that's what I teach. And I tell individuals to move fast, right? Velocity. Not just simply like, hey, take action, take action, take action, right? People say that all the time, like, take action, take action, take action. You know, to a point I get sick and tired of hearing it, because you can put a like what happens with the hamster in a wheel? They just keep on running and running and running and running and running, and they don't get nowhere, right? So simply having speed for the sake of speed, you don't get you nowhere. That's why I like the term velocity better, because if you look up the term velocity, velocity equates to what? Speed plus direction, right? So this is where I want to talk to you guys about how to use speed with direction, and the direction you're going to get is by using the PDCA framework to crush your competition. All right. So please have a pen and paper ready, because this is a training I have put together for my private clients and some of our mastermind groups, where people come into like we rent out like kind of like a conference room, and I do this right with a handful of brokers and investment companies, and they come in and we hang out with their directors and stuff like that. And this is what we talk about. So this is kind of from the slides from that particular training. I'm going to go ahead and change it up a little bit and how it's going to apply directly to front end marketing, front end client acquisition. Okay. Because this process of PDCA framework works literally for any part of your business, HR, finances, right? It works for any part, management, but really I'm just going to simply talk about more of the sales and marketing. Okay. So what's up, Jimmy? You're hopping on late, but it's all good. Better late than never, as they say. So here we go. Okay. So in this model of PDCA, okay, and the idea of Kaizen, continual improvement, is the first thing we got to do is plan. Okay, now I use the term plan in a very broad way, okay, because sometimes people plan way too much, especially here, especially if you have never done it. Right? They're like thinking about, what campaign should I do? How should I go after this? What should I do? Ooh. And then what happens? You get analysis to paralysis, as they say. Information overload. You don't want to take action on anything. And then you're kind of stuck and you're just like, right? But really, the first step is truly simple. Guess what you do? You get the list and you append the data. It's really that easy. Okay. The only caveat is these little bullet points that are on here. It says make sure it's tier 1 or top tier, aka credit header quality. Okay. The second thing is try to go after quote unquote lists that other people won't go after. We talk about this, right? The different campaigns. And I give you framework on how we come up with those and how we test them. That's in all the training. And the kind of asterisk is this, is if you're not sure what, just go wide. I'll say it again. If you're not sure what to hit, just go wide. Get the whole zip code, get the whole city. Okay? Versus being analysis to paralysis. That's the worst thing. Overthinking. All right? So that would be step 1, the plan. Okay? Boom. All right? Now, let me give you some context on the planning side, as I said earlier. Remember? Let me expand on this, the plan side. What do? The raw data plus data pending, okay? And if you do that with data pending, you no longer have a lead generation problem. You have a what? Conversion and follow-up problem. What's up, Peter? And for the folks who've been on here for the last couple of weeks, we've unmuted. You've heard the exact actual story of the people saying that, right? Well, I don't have a lead generation problem. I have a follow-up and conversion problem. Okay. And it is so true if you just simply understand that the first two parts, right here of this, because this is our three-step model. So the raw data plus data pending. If you understand that, we don't have a lead generation problem. Other people that like you to believe that you do, but you really don't. Okay. Now, the other part is this, and why I say if you're not sure on what to go after, go wide, is because of this. This is from a slide from a training that I talk about, where I talk about not all leads are created equal. Let me know in the chat box if you remember seeing this, where I talk about phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. If you're new, then it's kind of like, whoa, but and please know that it is not drawn to scale. Okay. Yes, remember. Cool. Thank you. Okay. And so I'll give you the short version of it, okay? And why I say, hey, if you're not sure what to go after, it boils down to this. On the left, you have like what I like to call the what problem people. They don't even know they got a problem, okay? On the right, phase 4 people, these are the people that says, I need you to come save me now, people. And this is the key right here. I might want to do business later versus what? I'm ready to do business today, okay? Now, most of the time when people look at marketing and sales, they'll look at it in a linear view like this, right? From left to right, linear thinking. But in reality, this is not how the real world works. It's divergent thinking, okay? Which means that there's other areas that we have to consider based on our both tangible and intangible assets that we have. Okay, what do I mean by intangible, tangible assets, right? Tangible assets and intangible assets are stuff people can't take away. So your experience, right? So imagine like the last decade you've worked in the foreclosure arena. That no one can take that away from you. Okay, last decade you've worked on strictly FSBOs expires. No one can take that away from you. Okay, so those experiences that you've developed allows you to have a competitive advantage in the marketplace. So simply you looking at a chart this way doesn't tell the whole story on I'm ready to do business today versus I might want to do business later. Okay, versus you have to overlay it on top of something like this because you are learning something called what? Data appending. So data appending, this is the level of competition needing you goes from what? Low to high, and then right to less interest level of leads needing you. And the key thing you got to remember is this: the cost of data appending, if you do it with tier 1 quality header data, it doesn't change. Now, it does slightly change if you do more volume. Okay, if you remember that right, you do more volume, it does change, but roughly it stays the same. But what people don't realize and bring into consideration is this number of records, right? It's a diminishing thing, meaning it goes higher to lower, right? So what does that mean? It means that there is a finite amount of what? Foreclosures in your area versus all the homes, the amount of expireds in your area, the amount of FSBOs in your area, amount of quote unquote distressed sales in your area. Okay? It gets limited. So as your business starts growing, okay, as you start getting deals, then guess what? You're going to run out of this. It's just mathematically impossible. You're going to run out of this, or it's going to become very crowded as the market shifts. Would you agree? Let me know. For the folks who've been in like the foreclosure game since the last crash, you remember how easy it was when it first started. Then it became super competitive because quote unquote everyone became a short sell expert. Like before, like when I started doing it, it was so easy. Other agents would send us deals just to negotiate it for them because they didn't know how to do it. They didn't even know what a BPO was. They didn't even know what an authorization to release information was. So it was so easy. And then people try to bring it in-house, try to do it right, and it became really hard. Like nowadays, what? You get escrow and, TCs and stuff like that, well, that will negotiate it for you. Like, well, in my state, we have to have actual physical license to negotiate. So you just can't have, some person just simply negotiating. That's impossible, right? But the point is that it's a lot more competitive. Okay? So this is why visually you have to understand this particular chart, okay? Now, and as I said earlier, remember right here in this plan section, right here, is that I said, if you don't know what it is, go wide. Why? Because some of these what problem people, okay, that's in phase one, because these are the least competitive. Because these what problem people, you will find, guarantee you, some of them in that list, phase three, phase four. You will find them. It's just math. It's just math. You'll find them in there. So you get a zip code and boom, you hit it. You get a city and you hit them, boom. You're going to find some phase three, phase four. Right? People that are behind on mortgage payments, but they don't show up, quote unquote, on the radar for being in foreclosure. Why? Because a list pendants hasn't been filed or an NOD hasn't been recorded. Okay. Now, if you do credit overlays with credit, triggers, then you can find that early. But, that starts adding up into the cost. So I'm not going to go down that. It's called trigger leads, okay? So I'm not going to talk about that. But the point is that you can go and get that and you're going to have better success. Is that making sense, please? Because I'm trying to simplify this idea, but sometimes I see the questions at the end and people are like, well, I'm not sure what list to hit. And to simplify, I just said, go wide. Okay. And the reason being is, here's another one too. Okay. Is that I want you to consider, and I'll use foreclosure because depending on what part of the country you're from, there's more foreclosure and some are popping up, some aren't. Okay. Is that these typically phase 3 and phase 4 leads. Okay. They have a shorter expiration date of the leads. I'll say it again, shorter expiration date, meaning that if they are in foreclosure today, and let's just say today, they get on someone's radar. Why? Because an NOD got filed and or list pendants got, recorded. I'm sorry, list pendants got filed and an NOD got recorded. Then guess what? Everyone's hammering them. Not everyone, but depending on the, right? But now you're on somebody's radar and somebody is going to start marketing to them. Okay. Now, regardless of what state you're in, there is a timeline you should know if you're working this arena foreclosure. I'll use California, right? California's NOD, notice of default, is recorded and you have 90 days. And then after the 91st day, you get something called a notice of trustee sale or NTS. And then you have 21 days. And then from there, it goes to a trustee sale. So if we append, the cost of data pending being the same, if we append today here, okay, all right, then you have 90 days plus what? 21 days later, okay? Question mark, can anyone do the math? When does that actual lead expire if the property either sells at the court step, all right, as a trustee sale, or it goes back to the bank? You guys are quick in math. Anyone else? It just went crickets. I only got Mario putting in the actual answer on that. Yes. 1, 1, 1, 1. Right? And brought up a good point. If the beneficiary holds the time frame, yeah, correct. So this is on the assumption that they go through with it completely, right? Or the seller doesn't file a BK to postpone it, right? And things like that, okay? Or they, the lender just decides to postpone it, or, whatever reason, right? But it's 111, okay? Versus, okay? Now, so imagine you have a list of 1,000 here, okay? Of phase 3, phase 4. That means on a minimum 111, like in my states, 111 days later, it can go boom and technically go expire. Okay. Versus imagine if you get principal residents of what problem people of 1,000 people here. Okay. In phase 1 or phase 2. 111 days later, guess what? The numbers are still good. So you can market to them again and again, again, and again. All right. Is that making sense? And that's where I talk about the expiration date of the actual leads. Cool. Okay. And so last week, we went over some couple of other kind of quote unquote sophisticated overlays. okay, which we can help you guys and gals do. So I'm visually trying to give you this information, but I don't want to make it so complicated where you feel like you're drinking out of a fire hydrant. You're like, this is a lot, Jeff. You're talking about numbers and data and overlay of stuff, and I just can't figure out which one to hit, right? So to be safe, guess what? Just go wide. Okay, but really, but if you want to get really sophisticated, and if you want to understand what advantages, okay, or gaps in the marketplace, then you have to really fundamentally understand the three reasons why people sell their homes. Okay, I'll do this one for buyers as well, but the reason why I'm talking about simply seller is because I always believe that if you can control the actual seller side, buyers just simply come. All right, let me know if you agree. Give me an amen if you agree. Okay, and there's only three reasons: financial reasons, personal issues, and or life cycle issues. And typically it's a multitude of one or two of those. Okay, and we covered in depth last week about these. Okay, and then I gave you some of the tools on what we use to actually figure this out, right? While everyone else markets to, as I said, what expired is what phase 3, phase 4, FESBO, phase 3, phase 4. Absentee, depending on what kind of absentee owners, right? It can be phase 1 or phase 2. It might be farming area, foreclosure, probate, right? Foreclosure, probate, typically they're considered phase 3, phase 4. Right? And I even asked what else. And I also last week I went in to say, okay, while we use what? Overlays of using something called the Census Bureau, okay? NCOA, National Change of Ownership Address. All right, we use assessor data or taxes. We use court data. We use judgments, equity position, property data, location. So we use all of those to kind of overlay on top of areas. Okay. But again, if you're still confused on this, I just say go wide. All right. Is that making sense? Let me know in the chat box. Okay. And let me know if you're getting value out of this as I'm going to take a sip of water here. Good, 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 good. Okay, when in doubt, go wide. Now, if you want to know, like if you're like me, okay, like I'm like, since I was little, they'd be like curious, kind of like Curious George, right? Like, Jeff, you're so curious about everything that I like to learn, right? So if you're interested in that, I always tell people simply pick up the phone and just call me directly, or call our support team, shoot them an email, chat box them, or call our tech team, right? That has helped multiple people set up campaigns, and they can give you some better insight. They might tell you this. I'm going to give you a warning though, okay? They might start using like tech lingo, okay? Which is okay if you want to learn it and stuff like that, which is fine. But this is the reason why I tell people, hey, at least go through some of the training, so at least like the language kind of matches, okay? Because I saw that in kind of the survey too, where they were just like, your tech team uses very difficult vocabulary, and I was like, really, they do? And I was just like, other than people were just saying they're awesome. So that's a heads up, okay? Now that's step one, okay? Step one, and then step two is what? From plan, the next thing is do. Run the darn campaign, okay? And the philosophy is this: ready, fire, aim. Ready, fire, aim. It's not aim, 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 ready, 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 fire. No, no, no. We're ready, fire, aim. Okay? Velocity with direction. All right? I don't know who in here has, shot, went out to range, or, have actually put a gun in their hand and actually fired a couple rounds off. But the first time you actually shoot a gun, it's very difficult to actually hit a target. Let me know if that was your case. Okay. Well, the first time I've shot a gun, it was very difficult. I didn't even know where the bullet went, honestly, because it missed the target completely. I know it fired off because I felt it in my hand. Luckily enough, guess what? At least I fired in the same direction. Okay? Fired in the same direction. Okay? And this is one of the key things when it comes to anything new that you do. right? It's just impossible for you to know everything. So that's why it's a ready, fire, aim. Barbara said, ready, bake, and then look at recipes. That's funny. Ready, bake, then look at recipes. That's right. Very difficult to aim, 100%. Okay. So ready, fire, aim. And then from there, you want to talk to these sellers. And for the last couple of weeks, because based on the survey and feedback, we have been listening to what? A lot of seller calls. And some of these calls, you guys and gals said what? Woo-wee, it is hard to listen to. And trust me, it is. It's all hard to listen for me. It's hard to listen for my guys that actually manages the campaign and listens to the call. It is hard, some of them, because you just cringe. You're just like, people are losing these deals, like, let me get on the phone, like I'll close these people, okay? But as any business grows, your roles have to change, and that happens to be our role. And if they're not doing that part, that clearly means what? Our part, that we're not training them up. So that's why, I purposely put those calls in our training so that way you can hear. And what I want you to do is, when you do, it'll go into the next part. Check. I'm kind of jumping here, but it'll allow you to get better, right? And bottom line on running the campaign with Ready, Fire, Aim is you got to talk to these sellers or buyers. Like, you cannot be afraid to do that. All right. And you got to get your hands dirty. I know it's weird. And here's the thing, okay? If you have ran a call center or haven't, ISA, right? And so successfully manage them, okay? And you're getting results, then what I'm teaching you and talking about, right? It shouldn't be any issue. It should be really easy. And that's why some of the folks in here are just like, boom, 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 because you've done it. If you have never done it, then you got to just run campaigns. Okay. And then you get what? These results, right? Remember, this is the kind of the basic, right? What do? DBC, inbound calls, you text message, you answer the call back, voice message, right? These green boxes, the things that you should do. It's the most highest paying activity you can do. Okay. You posting stuff on social media, that's not really going to get you money, right? Posting stuff on, about open houses, like, oh yeah, cool, I closed this, I closed that, right? Like, it ain't going to really get you money. But if you're talking to enough sellers, well, trust me, your life is going to change in 6 months, 12 months. Okay. It says, do you not believe in? No, I do believe in other marketing channel, but it's about focus energy. Right? You have to be pig-headed stubborn on what you do and what you don't do, right? More importantly, like I always say, right? Anybody can say yes. It's easy to say yes. It's easy to be a yes man, yes woman. It's hard to say no. Okay? And one of the things you got to say no to is you have to defend your time. Right? Because you and I know there's so many stuff that's going on in our business that we have to do. And it's kind of like, dude, like, what do you do? Like, sometimes you just got to say, stop. No. Money making activities. This is what I need to get bang out. This is what I need to do this week. This is what I need to do today. And if you just do more of that, like the green stuff in this box, it's just, your business is just going to grow. It's just impossible not to. Okay. Now, there is something called law of diminishing return as you get to a certain level. For the folks that know this, have been there, you guys know this. And in our space of real estate, typically it's around $400,000, $700,000. Okay, that's where you have to, your ability to be able to manage, lead people is going to really show up. Okay, and either you get better at those two things and rip through that, or you're going to regress back down. Okay, but that's for a whole different another training. Okay, but again, this is the basic system. And then the option is what? Recommended, taking the call, right? Answer your darn phone. Okay, answer your darn phone. And let me know if you're getting what I'm talking about right now. Okay, let me know. Because I want to, because this is going to start stacking today on a lot of the stuff I want to cover. I'm not seeing anything, so it's either like, it's like yeah. Is it way too like, whoop? Like, I don't know. little common sense. You know what's what, right? The old saying is what? Common sense ain't too common, as they say. Right? So here's an email I got. Okay, I sent out an email about a case study, right? So I said case study training, and I said 22 appointments, 4 hours, 4 offers, picked up 3 new listings in 30 days, right? Um, this was one of our students, right? Um, and I got an email response back, and I'll read it to you if you haven't read it already, because it has it up on the screen, right? Says, I would like to leave a great review for my first campaign. Okay, with your program, it was great. I had 90 plus calls and 20 text messages and several voicemails to call sellers back. I secured one listing for 425,000 and possibly one or two more. Okay, I secured one listing. Okay, possibly one or two more. Not bad for spending $450. Okay, I sent out 1,792 people in my area. As soon as I can catch up, I'm running my next campaign. All right, and with your office was great and very patient with me and walked me through my first campaign. Thank you millions. Okay, now what is your initial gut instinct when you look at this, right? So here she is. She spent $450. She got a listing for 425,000, got 90 plus calls. She even says possibly two or more, possibly one or two more right here that she's going to get out of this. Is that a good investment or not? Right now, I'll tell you a couple of things in here. All right, and where people say you shouldn't assume, right? Because I don't know what it is, right? Like people say you shouldn't assume, right? I'm a believer in sales, and the great marketers, they assume all day long. All right, they assume all day long. Okay, because check this out. All right, there's a couple things you can just take away from this. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why I blocked out the name. Okay, and is she on here today? I don't know. I wish she is. And if she's even open to actually have a conversation about this, all right? Is here. What does this term spending 450 mean? Spending 450. When someone uses the term spending. Okay? Yeah, love those numbers. She has a conversion problem. Okay. Okay. Language patterns. Okay. What we learn in sales. Right? We don't ever say, hey, you're going to spend 450. What do we say? We want to reframe people. It says what? You want to invest. Your investment is. Okay. Now, consider this. Okay. She is a saleswoman. Okay. And in her response to me saying great review, she's using a language pattern of spending 450. What is her subconscious mind actually telling you? Okay. You might think it's just, Jeff, you're just being so anal about this. Okay. But it is your subconscious mind speaking to the universe. Yeah, you got it. Cost versus benefit, limiting belief. Yeah, that this action of spending 450 versus if the language pattern was not bad for investing 450. All right. Hence, I don't even have to read this part. Okay. Right. Because she says what? As soon as I can catch up, I'm running my next campaign. As soon as I can catch up, I'm running my next campaign. When do you think she's going to run her next campaign? I wouldn't say never. Okay. Someday. Right? Versus saying, I'm going to run my next campaign next week. Right? Because she ran her first campaign. She got one deal. Yeah, there's one or two more she might be able to get. But aren't those numbers 450 to actually get one deal pretty damn good? Like if you can just do that once a week, where is your business going to be 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now? All right? And these are the things that I want you to be aware of. Like we do it. I'm not trying to say I'm perfect in any means and I'm in a some type of ivory tower that, hey, I don't get affected subconsciously about some of the things I say and don't say. Okay? But in grand scheme of things, it's great results. Now, I will tell you this. Okay? Remember this picture I told you about? Cost of data pending right here you see on the screen, right? What happens with this investment she made of 450? Okay? Because she still has these the numbers here. What can she do a couple weeks from now? Is she just going to toss those numbers away and says, I'm not going to market to them again? Or what should she do? Got it. Hit the list, baby. Right. Hit the list, baby. Okay? And hence, if you can pluck one or two, the actual ROI on it keeps on going up and up. Right? It's like fine wine. The longer you have the list, it becomes better. Okay? Why I would say if you're not sure on what specialty list to hit, I recommend people just go wide and go after phase 1, phase 2. Okay? And even if you do a shorter path like foreclosures, what did we say last time? Well, it's 111 days for phase 3, phase 4. You can still hit that multiple times. And heck, if you have a redemption period in your state, you can hit it during the redemption period. Okay? Is that making sense? Please let me know. We just have to be aware of these things that are going on. Okay? All right? Now, remember option 2 on the do. Let it go to voicemail. All right? You can absolutely do this, but it is a passive way. Okay? So, for example, like someone like her, if she's saying, I need to catch up running my next campaign, heck, get a new list, hit it again this week, get a new list, hit it again the following week. Now, if she gets so stacked up with so many appointments, instead of her taking the call as option 1, what can she do? Pivot and move, still run the campaign, but go option 2. Let it go to voicemail, and then call back the people that simply said, I want to sell. Right? A little bit different. It's a little bit easier to then pass these leads on to someone else too, right? Someone on your team, your downline, okay? I don't like to use the term downline because it just sounds weird. It's more of like from the MLM world, right? People are like a downline, okay? But if you have your company allows you to have overrides, okay, on your team members, then you can do that, okay? Or someone that's on your team, okay? And then the advanced system that I talk about is these green boxes are where you delegate out, right? Typically, you want to put these people on payroll, okay? Put them on payroll. Because that means now you really got your numbers dialed down if they're on payroll. But again, these green boxes are the highest leveraged activities. Okay, so let's cover that, right? Step 1, get the list, right? Which is the plan in the PDCA, the continuous improvement, right? Kaizen, right? Go wide if you don't know what list. Step 2 is what? Run the campaign, which is ready, fire, aim, baby, right? Which is the do. And then the check is what? What's your numbers? Okay, what's your numbers? How many calls did you get? How did you sound? Right? How many interested? How many ready to do business today? How many appointments? How many contracts? Right? These are the check. Like you're just checking. Quality control. Remember, continuous improvement, continual improvement. The idea of Kaizen. Here's an example. Okay. All right. And I'm so huge on this. You can read it as I'm saying this, but I'm so huge on talking about this, okay, is because we get way too caught up on details that are not as important. All right. I don't know if you have ever heard this idea. It's called death by 1,000 cuts, where it's the concept and idea of where I wish I knew the actual doctor's name. Okay, where they said that we're in what we like to call not attention deficit society. All right, meaning that there's way too many attention, like people trying to get your attention. All marketers are what? Hungry attention grabbers, right? That's what we do. We get paid to get your attention. Like, hey, look at me. Hey, listen to this. Hey, what about this idea? Right? We try to get your attention. And the issue and challenge we run into is, as I said, is earlier, is to value your time so much and your focus to block everything out and just focus on what? Money-making activities that actually get you towards your goals. Okay? Using what? The PDCA or the, Kaizen model. Right? For some of the folks who follow me on social media, you guys know this. I went off the grid on social media for 60 days. Okay. Previously to the last couple of years, I would go off the grid completely for the last 2 months of the year, November, December. Off the grid. Like it would be very difficult for you to get hold of me. Okay. And so the check part is important as plan do. Okay. They're all actually important. Okay. But here, check this out. Okay. Is she on? Let me see. Okay. So basically, she basically says what? Have some good news. Okay. Signed up about 2 months. Did what the trainee said. Did my first campaign. Results are fantastic. Went on 6 appointments, but only got 1 listing. 6 appointments, got only 1 listing. All right. And I say what? Not terrible because you got 1 contract. But then I ask the obvious question, if it's not obvious, why are you only getting 1 out of 6? Right? Like, for me, that just sounds weird. Okay. I don't know. You're either very terrible at presenting or something. Right. And then she goes, I'm 58, just got my license 2 years ago. I never talked to so many sellers at once or even went on this many appointments in a week ever. Okay, so I don't know, some of you guys who've been in the business, gals who've been in the business, over a decade plus, like it's pretty nerve wracking. I still remember, for me, it was very nerve wracking because, I'm like going on an appointment when I'm like 18, 19 years old, wearing a suit, and I'm Japanese, so I looked very super young. Okay, so I looked like I was 16 or 14, so imagine like trying to sit down to a seller, be like, hey, sign here, like, like, yeah, it was just weird. So I get it. And it says, I just did not know what to say to the seller. Do you have any suggestions on what to do next? Barb says she ain't baking either. And then it says, what do I say? Do you have any suggestion? And then I said, I could tell you to become better at presenting to sellers, but the next logical thing would be how. Right? Because I can simply give her like a kind of cliche saying, oh, get better at your conversion, right? Get better at sales. But I basically told her I would get someone from your office that is real smooth on listing appointments and partner with them. Yes, you won't get the whole pie, but you get real hands-on training in the field. Then I would try to record the meeting on your phone, right? Like on your voice recorder. And here's why. If you simply get better at closing, you could have had 2 to 3 more deals. How much is each deal worth? Right? So I'm asking these questions to what? Figure out the KPIs for her, not just the generic key performance indicator, right? Yeah, or just go on 20 more appointments, right? That's another one too, Hector said. Yeah, there's a bunch of ways to do it, okay? And it says first one is 252,000. The listing is at 6%. 50% to me would be 7,560 and have 50% split with my broker. So it's 3,780 minus 2,000. I'm sorry, minus $200 for desk fee and E&O. It's error and omission. And then it basically says I make about 3,500 bucks. Okay. Jimmy says why I hate brokers. You can say that because you're a broker. That's funny. And I said that's really good. And then I say what? Accountants or something math related before real estate, right? Because clearly the way the language that they're using, they're like they know the numbers versus like you see the other one. I don't know if you guys saw the other one, right? Okay. Remember this one? There's numbers in there, but it's not like big, like sophisticated numbers in there, okay? Like, hey, this is my split, this is my run. Hey, my ROI and percentage is going to be this, blah, 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 right? It's just like on this one, it's just more of like, whoa, like, okay? And to a point where they even go on, it says, my math based on your training is 10 to 1. I spent $300 to make almost 3,500. Any given day, that number is a damn good investment, if you ask me. Sheesh, you're gonna outbeat you're gonna outbeat what? Wall Street boys, if you ask me, right? That's like giving a dollar and you get $10 back. A dollar and you get $10 back. You do way better. You're gonna do way better than putting it away in your SEP IRA or 401k or solo 401k or whatever all day long. All right. And she went on to say that she was a high school math teacher for 25 years. Okay, and I basically told her to call me in 30. All right. Now, why am I asking you this? Is because earlier I said what? The check portion is what? You got to know your numbers. Okay? Got to know your numbers. Any questions so far? Now, Hector does bring up a great point. He says, just do more, go on 20 more appointments. That is true too, right? That is true too. You can just simply keep, but ultimately, what are you doing though still, right? Like if you do that, you're still what? Running multiple campaigns and going around the circle multiple times. Victor said no, like as in no, it's not making sense, or no as in like you're not getting no value. Let me know. Or no as in like, yeah. Okay. But the point is still the numbers are still favorable. Okay, that's I want you to make sure you understand that you know your numbers and all you can do is get better from it. Because remember, once you have the data appended, you can hit that list what? Over and over. Okay? So we talked about get the list, append the data. If you're not sure, go wide. We talked about that. And if it's not obvious, I'll say it again, make sure that you use tier 1 or top tier, aka credit header quality data. Okay? Pulled directly from the credit agency. And then what? Step 2 is the do, right? Because you planned and you do, and then run the campaign, ready, fire, aim. Okay? Try to talk to these sellers. And then check is what? Step 3 is what's your numbers? How many calls did you get? Okay, this is part 2. How did you sound? Why have you guys and gals listen to the calls? Because, like you saw Linda, she got 1 out of 6, but clearly we know where the issue was. It's not that it's like, hey, her phone skills is that bad. It's more of the conversion in the face-to-face maybe, right? Clearly, if she gets better at that, boom, you got 2 more. Okay, or if you really want to grow fast, guess what? Get better at that plus do more campaigns. Right? Do you see how you can 2x, 3x your business in 12 months by doing that? Okay. And then now, if you understand that, then you go to step 4, which is act. Okay. Get better. This is where you got to get better, aka Kaizen. Okay. And you have to ask really tough questions. How can I get better? How can I do this faster? Where can I improve? What are better lists? Here's one that if it's not obvious, let me schedule this campaign for next month or in 3 weeks or in 2 weeks. How about this one? How can I increase my conversion? All right. And another one that, and I don't include it in here, is how can I change my disposition strategy to increase my income? All right. Meaning, depending on where you're at in the country, sometimes simply changing your actual strategy in the space of real estate can increase your bottom line that much faster. Here's what I mean, okay? If you're in a state where average medium home prices are under 100,000 or something, or 200,000, okay, you got to do a lot of deals to get to $500,000, quarter, $500,000, 750,000, $1 million. Right? It's just number is just on, it's not in your favor. Versus if you're in a state where medium home prices are $500,000 plus, you don't have to do as much. So if you're doing the traditional route of getting listings and getting a commission on a $500,000 deal on 3% is going to do $15,000 versus 3% on $100,000. Right? The math is just stacked, not favorable. Versus if you're in the lower side, right? If you learn how to get better at like wholesaling or something like that, right? Or different disposition strategy, you can instantly increase your income. Right? I was talking about a couple weeks ago about a deal that we were doing, and it's a freaking land deal of all things. Right? It's a land deal that we're doing. Okay, what was it? $7,000 land deal. Okay, it's in escrow right now, and we put a $500 deposit. It's a land deal, $7,000, and things of that same land has been selling in that area for $22,000 all day long. All right, so right now we have multiple buyers that are wholesaling deals that are interested at $18,000. We're gonna make $10,000. Okay. Now, if you simply got the listing on that, on a $7,000 land deal, how much money are you going to make on that? All right. Different disposition strategy. Yeah, absolutely nada. And nada means not much. Okay, they're nothing. Yeah, nothing. If you're wondering. Okay, and so again, I don't want to talk about that, but there is so many different ways. Okay. All right. So now with that being said, right, the act, okay? And can anyone guess what my suggestion was? Because this is the portion of the what? Plan, do, check, act, right? Step 4, right? So again, get better. The idea and philosophy of Kaizen, right? Like let's get better. So for someone like her that says, hey, I got some good result, instead of like spending, it should be I invested 450. And can you do the math, anyone, on how much you're actually going to make on a 425 listing? Yeah, if you did the math, over $12,000, right? $12,000. That's not bad in my opinion. Okay? But can anyone guess what my recommendation suggestion is for someone like that on the act? All right? If not, I'll give it to you. Okay? What I basically responded via email and I said is run multiple campaigns. Run multiple campaigns. That's how you grow and outbeat your competition. Right? Be specific, even better. Right? Next week, run another campaign. Following week, run another campaign. Remember, on one of the trainings, I talk about campaign stacking, right? Where I talk about week, A, B, C, and what? D, right? Which is equivalent to what? Week 1, week 2, right? Week 3, week 4, right? So if you have 4 different campaigns that you're stacking, even if you do it the first time and it's kind of bad, you still get 1 deal out of it. You can do what? At least 4 deals. And then the following week, you can hit the list again. And then the following week, maybe you just simply let it go to voicemail and then you refer those out. Okay? So many ways to do it. Is that making sense? Please let me know. Because this is the power. This is the power of velocity. Okay? Being able to have speed with direction. I want to give you that direction on which way to go. So for something like this, right, Linda, who's I should have blocked out her name. Damn. It says act. What do you think my suggestion was? Because I said call me in 30. Can anyone guess? Or if you were, or if you were in her shoes, what would you do? Give me some creative answers, okay? Give me some creative answers. Some are. Oh yeah. So come on. Give me some creative stuff. And let's see here. Let's see here. There's some people who I have not talking to. Let's see here. I am going to unmute. Let's see here. Here, I'm going to give it to you because I see bunch of people are finally giving say, yeah, sorry. So Peter said, join up with experienced sales rep and offer 30% to other. Okay. Jimmy said, tell her to get her brokers. Okay. Hit the list again, says Andre, right? Work on low fruits and refer the others out. Okay. Campaign stack and get some help. What else? Do more. The one I love is right here. Change brokerage, move to another broker, right? Think about this for a second, okay? All right. Now I'm not telling y'all to do this. I don't want people to be like, oh, Jeff, man, you're telling people to move brokers and stuff like that. But look, at the end of the day, okay, it is a business that you're in. So run it like as if it's a business. If your broker is giving you the value that you need to get out of it, with all means, stay, right? But heck, she's on a 50-50 split and her conversion sucks. Okay, but still the numbers still work out. Spend $300, you get $3,500. Okay, the numbers work. But if you instantly want to raise, go move change brokerage. Right? Heck, you might be able to refer the other ones out and give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else and give it to somebody else, and then they still will get a 50-50 split. Yes, and they're paying desk and E&O. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. So, but what do you expect? You get what I'm trying to say? Like, you just don't know what you don't know. Heck, matter of fact, you know what? It was funny. I'll tell you an interesting thing. Speaking of which, I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, and we're talking about people getting new license and in the last like 4 or 5 years, and it was funny where most new licensees now believe that the broker's interviewing them. Like it's a job, right? Like they're a company that they're working for, and you got to go in there, and then you got to sit down and finish an interview, right? Like they're interviewing them, and then I'm just like, dude, seriously? No, it's the other way around, buddy. Like you're an independent contractor, you are interviewing them, and then when you even have that conversation with people who just are licensed, there's like the mind's just like boom, blown. Like what? you know yeah, so the clearly whatever. I wish I don't want to put her on the spot, but yeah, what her thing is, stuck with them for 2 years, and I don't know how many deals. We didn't get into that conversation. I can probably look it up if I just pull it up on Zillow, how many deals she's did in the 2 years. But clearly, right, just that strategic move alone, you'll guess what, you're gonna make more money. Okay, now please be aware. Okay, I talk about make more money, but it's not all about the money. Now clearly there's certain brokerages and certain people you work with that the relationship you can gain and experience you can gain can outweigh the actual money portion. Okay, I'm not trying to discredit that, but at the end of the day, right, like it's your thing that you're doing, your business. You're trying to be a non-profit organization on purpose, as I like to joke around, meaning you ain't got a real business unless you're making profits. Right? You just got a very expensive hobby. Okay. So when I spoke with her, that's kind of the suggestion that I made, just like you guys said, hey, you can do this, move this, and or if you got some heavy hitters in that brokerage, then hey, go on appointments with them and then find out actually how to present. Okay. That's the fastest way to learn. Like some people will be like, oh my gosh, Jeff, like you should do like role playing and do this, and you have scripts and blah blah blah. Do they help? Yes, they help. Okay, but it doesn't like it doesn't help as much as you actually losing the deal, right? It's the same concept of I tell people, right, like you can, and it's interesting because like there's like in our area, like kickboxing and like kind of like sparring stuff is getting popular, right? UFC type of stuff, right? And a lot of some of these people have never been punched before in their face or never got into a street fight, where people are like biting, throwing, and doing all kinds of ridiculous stuff. I've gotten in fights to a point where like, I was afraid to get in fights, and my brother had to come in and like save me and stuff like that too, and a couple of my friends, like, or they'll be like, you get jumped, like that kind of stuff. But it's the same thing, and I believe in sales too. Like you can do all the sparring you want, but until you get punched and slugged in the face, you ain't never gonna know how it feels like. Never, ever, ever. And I'm a believer on that's the fastest way to learn, right? Why I lean on, hey, talk to the sellers, go on more appointments. And the more you learn it, you're going to be like, dang. Okay. So we're going to go into kind of now listening to calls. Okay. So any questions so far, or anybody else want to give updates on what's been going on? What's been going on? You want to talk about campaigns, stuff you can need help on before we go into calls? And let me know if because these are stuff from, like I said, where this training is from live events that I do in like the hotel rooms, like over the weekend, where people come in a conference room and we hang out and we work with like kind of like, you know, the bigger companies and bigger brokerages. And I'm bringing this, you know, kind of with you guys in a group setting. So if you like more of this stuff, let me know in the survey too, and then I can bring some of that stuff and talk about it. Because I know some of this stuff is like depending on where you're at in your business, considered higher level stuff. But I think it kind of ties into what you're doing now, you know? So, great stuff. Show me more of this stuff. I like it. That's good. Kay just said already talked to support, getting the raw data. Good. Yeah, rock and roll with it. I like the calls. Okay, cool. So let's go into talking to sellers. Okay, this is again another live call training. Now I'm going to give you kind of a disclaimer here. Okay, here's the disclaimer. This is live calls from yesterday. All right, yesterday. All right, yesterday. You might be like, what? Yesterday? Yes, yesterday. Okay, and we particularly have a gentleman that's taking this call in a particular part of the country. Now, you might be wondering, like, why this particular part of the country is because friends are one of our closest friends actually have rental properties there. Okay, it's an out-of-state rental property, and they do very well, and he wants more of it. So I'm just like, okay, you know, hey, let's run a campaign there. And that's what we did. Why? Because I'm looking to gain more rental properties too. Make sense? So some of the stuff in here, it's not edited out. You know how some of them goes beep, 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 right? Like it's edited, but it's not edited out. But I figure I put it in here because I talked about what? Ready, fire, aim. The concept of what? That circle that you saw earlier. Okay? Here. This. Right? Plan, do, check, act. Plan, do, check, that. So this idea yesterday was, okay, let's run this campaign. We didn't even think about it. We were just like, okay, we need to run it. Let's do it. So we rock and rolled and went. Okay. Now, I want you to make sure you have a pen and paper out. And when you listen to this call, okay, imagine yourself, as I said, being the manager, listening to these calls. And you're going to grade this call, 1 being the lowest call, you know, the crummiest call you ever heard, 10 being the greatest call you ever heard, and then try to include how you can get better. Okay, remember the idea of Kaizen, continual improvement. And if you like some of the way that he is talking to the seller or some of the ways that you don't like, put that in the chat box as well as you're hearing it, okay? Because I'm going to play the whole one. The first one is called I Want to Move Out of State. It's about 5 minutes long, and I'm going to play the whole thing. And listen to the call, okay? Now, keep in mind, this particular gentleman does not have a script. No script, no nothing. And he just started taking the calls, okay? Like literally started, I want to say in the last, 4 weeks? Okay? All right, so here we go. We're going to play this call. First one.
Hello? Yes, I had a missed call from this number. Yeah, is this Brandon? Yeah. Hey, Brandon. Good evening. My name is Robert Torres. I'm actually a real estate investor. I was just calling to see about making an offer on a property you own in Torrington, Buena Vista Ave. Okay. Yeah, I was just seeing if you had any thoughts of possibly selling that property.
I mean, eventually I'm planning on moving out of state.
Eventually, okay. Is that eventually 6 months? Eventually 5 years? 10 years?
Well, I mean, it just kind of all depends on how like the cards fall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, ideally it'd be tomorrow, but you gotta, scrimp and save for that kind of thing.
Yeah, unless you accept my offer and I could buy your property. I think that'll help put some extra money in your pocket, right? To help you make the move you want to make.
Well, possibly. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's why it's good that we got on the phone here and we're connecting, right? This property was your primary residence, you said, right?
Yes.
Got it. Is this property, would you say it's like fair, good condition, or maybe needs some updating?
I would say good condition. I mean, I don't really think it needs anything updated to like move in. It's a matter of personal preference.
Sure. And you said just purchases a year or so ago. Any idea how much you still owe on the mortgage there?
Yeah, 101,000.
101. Okay, so we got to get you over that mark if we're even going to even consider anything, obviously. Got to get you way over that mark so we can get you some more money so you can make your move. Got that, Buena Vista. And is it just your property? You own it outright yourself?
Well, the mortgage company owns it, but yeah, it's under my name.
Yeah, good point. You're right. Me too. They own me too, so we're in the same boat. And if you're trying to relocate, you're trying to relocate out of state, or?
That's my goal, is to get out of state. Yeah.
Where are you trying to get? Warmer weather, or?
Yeah, and away from the bull crap that's going on in Hartford.
We should try to get out to like the West Coast, man. Los Angeles could use another resident.
No, I'm good with California. That's even worse.
Wow, that's true.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking Texas or something. I'm like super conservative, so.
Oh man, dude, I used to live out in Denton, Texas, out in like the Dallas-Fort Worth pocket, North Texas area.
Yeah, I got a cousin that lives out that way, so maybe she knows anybody, for work and stuff,
Yeah, I may have somebody you can plug to as well down the line whenever you're ready for that. And I have real estate that I do in that pocket as well. So if it's something where you're trying to look for a new home or something, I could definitely try to help you there if possible. But let's start with the first one, which is Buena Vista. I wanted to email you my contact information so you're not so I'm not just a complete stranger, right? And we can have a little bit of familiarity. What's your email address?
Bam Bam.
Hey, hold on.
Bam Bam, like BAMBAM.
Listen to this.
Yep.
Not Bam Bam Bigelow, right? Bam Bam Coles, you said. Bam Bam Coles.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that or not. Bam Bam Bigelow, right? Okay. Does anybody know where that reference comes from? I want to see who knows it here. No idea. No idea. We got some people that so okay. And here, let me flip this over real quick, okay? Now, I want to talk about certain things, okay? Is that sometimes the synonyms, analogies, and stories you tell, make sure that the audience that you're telling it to understands what you're talking about. Okay, Jimmy got it. It says WWF wrestling. Yeah. Bam Bam Bigelow is a wrestler. Okay, and you have to be kind of like a wrestling fan to know this. Okay, clearly the guy has no idea on the other side. So you have to know the audience that you're talking to. Okay, I'm a big believer in that. When you start using, unless you're purposefully using it to find out, how they are, who they are, right? You got to be strategic, right? Okay, on the way you're using it. So again, so he's getting the email address. I'm gonna finish up with the call, but thank you so much for the folks who put in what they like. But start putting in your notes that you've written down in the chat box, because I would love to have a conversation with you about this particular call. Okay.
COWLES@gmail.com.
Spell the last part a little slower for me.
COWLES@gmail.com.
Gotcha. All right. I'm gonna just show you a quick email. Just just so you have my contact info. Nothing elaborate, but I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get with my partners and do some of the comps and some of the research of the area, the property itself, and then
Okay.
if I can get back to you maybe Thursday or Friday-ish, kind of with an idea of if we can make an offer, what it would be, and then kind of go in more detail at that time.
All right. Yeah. That sounds good. I mean, I wasn't expecting a phone call like this, so but what's it gonna hurt?
Yeah, exactly. And I know I don't mean to catch you off guard. And again, there's no pressure for you to do anything. If anything, it gives you a better idea of the sense of the market right now and what you could get. And if nothing else, it's a good education for your side. So at least you know what's up in your area right now, especially since you were kind of thinking eventually about moving. So
Yeah. I mean,
but
right now it looks like my plan's a couple years down the road, but who knows? I mean, if it's a good enough offer, it might be enough for me to get out of here sooner.
yeah, sure enough. Again, and there's no pressure on your side. I'm not here to, my life will continue. Your life will continue whether you move forward or not with an offer. So there's no pressure or anything like that. Cool. So is this the best number to reach you? This 203-509-1492.
All right, so I'm gonna end it there. Okay, so on a scale of 1 through 10, 1 being the best call, 1 being the worst call you ever heard, and 10 being the greatest call you ever heard, what would you grade our gentleman on this call and give a reason on why? So here we go. Let's grade this call. This is called the I want to move out of state call. And what are some key triggers? Okay, hopefully you wrote this down as you're listening to the call on questions you might have been able to ask to further the narrative, further the conversation, build better rapport. What are some of the things he did good, he did right? I will say, I think our good friend Jimmy said, I like the play on eventually. Yep, I like that play too. I like that. Yeah, so what else? What else? Type it in the actual chat box, please. Yeah, what else? What else? Okay, what else? What else? Oopsie. And let's back up so you can get a better idea on, hold on here. Okay, I'm going to put this screen up for a second. Okay, 3 reasons why people sell their homes. Okay, or why they might want to sell their homes. Okay, and you don't really need to focus on this right here, this little bullseye that we got on, but what I want you to focus on is this person that you listen to. Okay, do they fall under any of these A, B, or C, or 1, 2, 3? 1 being the financial reason, B, or A being the financial reason, B being personal issue, C is a life cycle issue. Did any of those questions tie into getting that information out of the actual seller? Okay. All right. Who wants to be in the hot seat? I want to talk about this call. Let me see here. Let's see here. Who have I not spoken with? Let's see. Actually, you know what? Here, let me ask a different question. If you were on this call, would you have at least gotten an appointment? Let me know in the chat box. If you took this call, would you have gotten an appointment to at least go see the darn property? All right, first one that said yes. Okay. Jimmy, are you there?
Yeah.
Say hi to everyone, Jimmy.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
All right, so Jimmy, you're the first one that said yes. So, so can you tell the folks on here what or did you grade them? I don't know if I saw your comment.
I put a 6.
You put a what?
A 6.
A 6. Okay, why'd you put a 6?
So I mean, he was good, and he kept the conversation going.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like he missed a couple of windows about Texas. Who's the cousin? What does she do? Maybe keep going there. Hartford. What are the issues? What's he going through? That was a big one. Like all the issues going here. What issues? What can we help to solve these issues? How is moving going to help you solve these issues?
Mm-hmm.
He's a conservative, so his tone of voice was also kind of slower, a little more mellow. I think our dude was talking too much, trying to make him laugh too much. liberal versus conservative. You know, what are you talking about there?
Yeah.
The too much, like, no pressure, no pressure, no pressure means pressure. You know, the stuff he was saying at the
Yeah.
end to me. Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But that's about it, I think.
Okay.
Life cycle issues and financial issues here on both. He wants to, it's not enough money, needs money, and he's moving somewhere. Why? You know.
Yeah. Yeah, the big reasons why, because he says I don't have, he basically says I want to get out of state, but it says it's going to be a couple of years. So
Why
he
not
could at least
now?
ask like, how much do you need to move?
Yeah. How can we get you out today? You're not happy. There's some issues going on there. What are the issues in Hartford, Connecticut, and let's get you to Texas where you're gonna be a little bit happier.
Yeah. Are you planning to buy in Texas? Are you trying to rent in Texas? You say you got right, like you can win all kinds of stuff, right? Okay. So you're saying if you'd have took this call, would you have got an appointment, Jimmy?
Yes, sir.
All
100%.
right. Okay. All right. So all of you here, thank you so much. Yes, and would ask more question. Really good at getting the info. Future Mortgage should never ask for. Should have asked for an appointment. Yes, I agree with you on Andre. Here, let me hold on here. Let me see here. Andre, are you there? Andre, say hi to everyone.
Oh, hi. You're talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah, you. Unless there's a different Andre. Say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody.
All right. So you graded him the highest, actually. That's why I decided to unmute you. Can you tell the folks why you grade him a 9 and give your feedback?
I graded him a 9 because I thought, first of all, he had a good temperament with the seller, so he was making a connection all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting information. However, I would have asked more open-ended questions so that I could get him to talk more. For instance, asked him about the property. He said, "So does the property need fixing up or whatever?" I would have let him tell me that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would have asked for an appointment. It's just this guy was really looking to make an appointment with him, so I would have asked.
Yeah.
But other than that, he was very. He got a lot of information, and he didn't set up a meeting, but he set up a phone call with him, and he could ask for the meeting at that time because he was going to send him some information. So he set up a follow up.
Yeah. So he said he got the email address and said, "Hey, I'm gonna send you information, so we're not strangers, and then I'll check back with you after I get my numbers on Thursday or Friday, which is coming up."
Right.
So okay. Thank you so much for that. Any questions you got me right here that I can help you out with, or something feedback?
I like it. I think these calls are really good.
Mm-hmm.
They give me a different perspective on how I should handle things.
Okay, cool. Make sure that you do it immediately there. For anyone else that's wondering this, right? This is why I tell people, like, record your calls, because it's easy to listen to other people's calls, right, and then critique them. But if you have never heard yourself on how you pitch, how you influence, how you persuade, that's a whole nother ball game, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And this sometimes takes real brutal, like it's sometimes like okay. I sometimes cringed at listening to my own voice, because English is my second language. And for folks that are not aware of this, side note here, it is. I learned Japanese first and then English. Growing up, I always had an issue by adding S's to words that didn't need S's to be added. Like, for example, fishes. I'd be like, let's go catch some fishes, it's just like, huh? And it's just because Japanese people, it just tends to add the S. And then I had a difficulty actually with L's. Yeah. And the R's, I'm sorry. Yeah, everything turns into like lead, like you can't roll the R's. So I practiced, okay? Even when I was 18, I still struggled. I was in the sales environment, I would still struggle, and I would record. Must love my name. Hence, I will just say Mrs. Miller. Miss Miller. That's funny. So it's one of those things that you have to actually be aware of, right? Being self-aware. Okay. So yes, on that call, okay, it's like a 5. Okay, it was good, got through it, cool, but definitely could have built more rapport. Okay, and we'll find out if it turns into a deal. But definitely, when someone says, "Hey, they want to do something, but they cannot do something," then you really have to go ahead and bust through and figure out the big why. And for the folks who've been in the business long enough, you guys and gals know no one wants to sell something unless there's a need. The 3 things on there, right? No one wants to buy something unless there's what, the 3 things on here too as well for buyers, right? Otherwise, us human beings, we really don't do much. We just don't do it for the sake of just doing it. Okay, so be aware of that. All right. Let's see here. Let me keep on going. What time is it? Ooh, we got to hurry this up. Okay, so we have one more, or actually I have a couple more, but I want to make sure I listen to this. This one is called Lease is Up. Let me see here. This call is 4 minutes long. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to play the call again. Listen to the call. Okay, listen to the call. And as you listen to the call, type in things that you're listening to, and you're just like, ooh, I like this. Ooh, you could do a little better on here. Ooh, that was a time where I should have asked this question instead, right? Like, type it in. Okay, so here we go. The hint is lease is almost up.
Hello.
Hi, I had a missed call from this number.
Yeah, this is Jeremy.
Yes.
Hey, Jeremy, how's it going? This is Robert Torres here. I'm actually a real estate buyer. I was calling regarding your property on Torringford Street, Torrington. Yeah. Sorry, you sound like you have your hands full. I actually wanted to make an offer and see if you had any interest in selling your property.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I do.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you gave me a call back. Is this property on Torringford? Is that like a primary residence or residential or rental?
Say that again.
The property, is that a primary residence or is it like a rental for you?
Rental.
Okay, got it. And currently rented out?
Yes, but the lease is up very shortly.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Do you own this property outright or you still have a mortgage against it?
I still have a mortgage on it.
Okay, any idea roughly where that's at? Or
What's that?
any idea roughly how much is still left on that? Or
Yes. Yes, but I'd like to hear your offer, I guess, before I tell you how much I owe, you know what I mean?
well, it's kind of we're working backwards in that regard because if you think about it, if I offer you $1 million and you owe $1,005,000, it doesn't really matter what I offer you because you can't accept that anyway, right? So
yeah, okay, yeah. So I owe like just under 70, or right around 70.
I just wanted an idea. I don't need the specifics. And again, just so you know too, it's public information. If I really wanted that info, I could just find it out myself. So
I didn't even really think of it that way.
It's cool. I get it. Yeah, listen, I'm a complete stranger, but hopefully by the end of the phone call, I'll be like your new best friend. And hopefully this offer will make you very happy. I didn't get a chance to ask, what is the current condition of the property? Is it good, fair? Does it need some work?
Between good and fair.
Okay. Maybe a little paint and some basic stuff, some cosmetic stuff to kind of bring it back to life?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, nothing huge.
Right. Okay, gotcha. It's not like the roof's caving in or anything crazy, right?
No. The roof is fairly new. We lived there for a while, and we just moved out maybe like 3 years ago, so everything was really good up until, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then just wear and tear.
Got it. Any idea off the top of your head what you would be asking for the property or what number you would think that you would be looking for that property?
No, because I never really gave it much thought,
Gotcha. I gotcha. Yep, I gotcha. Well, I want to do this too. I want to email you my info. So again, like I said, you're not talking to some complete stranger and you can have an idea exactly who you're talking to and, some contact info. And then also I want to do some analysis and be able to send you, some comparables and things I find about the property. So so I'm doing my homework on my end. I'm not just blowing smoke up your what. So
Yeah.
What's your email address?
JERM.
DK. Then your name minus the Y _ Mac 1 at yahoo.com.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna send you an email right now. Again, nothing elaborate, just with my contact info, so you know who I am. And then I'll get back to you probably Thursday, Friday-ish, and kind of give you an idea, at least an update, whether it's the offer or kind of if we're still doing our homework or whatnot, and then we can kind of go from there.
Sounds good.
All right, Jeremy. I appreciate you taking my call this late. Have a good time with the family and the kids over there. I saw them going wild, and we'll talk Thursday. All right.
Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Woo! There we go. That's the call called lease is almost up. Okay, I'm giving you a hint in the questions that you should ask in the actual screen if you read where it says lease is almost up. So on this call, a scale of 1 through 10, 1 being the worst call you ever heard, 10 being the greatest call you ever heard, what are some of the questions that he should have asked, and or what would you grade him on this particular call, and give a reason why? Okay. And here, I want to ask a different one, okay? For anybody else. If you were on this call and you took this call, you think you would have been able to get an appointment? Seriously, be honest with yourself. Would you have gotten an appointment with this person? Yeah, would you have gotten an appointment? Like, be brutally honest. It's okay if you say no or not, like, yeah, I don't think that's the case. I don't think everyone's saying actually, heck yeah, I'll get a call. Yeah. So, okay, cool. Let me see here. Oh, Wanda, you're back. Hold on. Where have you been, Wanda? Hold on. I think you missed last week. Hold on. Let me see. Where are you at, Wanda? Wanda, are you there?
I'm here. I was on my phone. I've been on the call, but I was driving and I was on my phone. Just got back to my computer.
Hey, it's all good, Wanda. Well, welcome back, and say hi to everyone first off.
Hi, everyone.
All right. So, Wanda, what did you grade this gentleman? Because you actually gave one of the higher scores.
Well, I gave him a 7,
Mhm.
and I've been making a lot of calls myself,
Mhm.
and the fact that the guy's agreeable, the seller's agreeable to
Mhm.
schedule an appointment with him, or at least let him get back to him. I feel like the investor should have pushed, to meet with him, or at least meet at the property, something. But I think he's got a built rapport, and he's going to be able to follow up. It's not like the guy said, well, I really think you're BSing me, and
Mhm.
I really, don't want to deal with this. I think you're going to try to take my property for nothing. He didn't get that kind of the investor didn't give him that kind of feeling. The seller didn't get that. And I have had people to say to me, what are you, like open door? Is this Mark Spain real estate? I'm not interested in that BS.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it was a good call.
Okay. Now let me ask you this, Wanda. When someone says, like, me being a seller, and if I say, hey, my lease is almost up, what is your natural response should be, or a question you should ask me?
Exactly when.
Right? Exactly what. So if I say, oh, it's going to be up in, they gave me a 30-day notice.
I would say, when's the last time you've been in the property? Can you tell me the condition of the property? When's the last time you've been in it? And if
Yeah.
they
Now, why is that so
12
important? When's the
months,
last time you've been in it?
yeah. And I just had one like this last week.
Yeah.
And he said, I actually went to the property about 2 months ago,
Uh-huh.
but I never went in. The guy came out and we stood outside and talked. And I said, well, then I would need to actually see the property in order to assess value. And this guy's out of town. And I said, I'll be, very I know how to talk to renters. They don't have to impress me, so they don't have to worry about, cleaning up, and I can meet on their terms. It's the people that come after me that need to be impressed. I just need to get in so I can assess the value.
Yeah. And usually that works most of the time. They'll tell you, right?
Right,
And
right.
so much. Well, thank you. People are saying that is awesome, Wanda. People are saying, oh, I'm going to use that line. Yeah. Wanda, since I got you on here, any updates on what's been happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, I listed a house last week from a
Mhm.
call, and it was an out-of-state owner. They're in
Mhm.
Florida, and somebody's renting their property. It
Mhm.
just happened to be the mother-in-law, but I didn't know that
Mhm.
until they agreed to let me go into the property. And the mother-in-law is the one that told me. She said, it's actually my son and his wife. So I have not met the sellers at all, just talked to them on the phone.
Mhm.
Put the property on the market last Wednesday, had
Mhm.
no showings until Saturday and Sunday. I blocked it. So there were no showings, but it was in the MLS
Mhm.
so people could see it, know that it was coming. We held open house, and we had a offer that was $5,000 over on Sunday afternoon, 5,000 over the list price.
Mhm.
Yep. And then
What was the
Monday,
list price for?
the list price on that one was 210.
Okay, 210. That's not bad. Okay.
No, not for what I put into it.
Yeah.
Um, we listed one on Monday,
Mhm.
and that was 279.9.
Mhm.
And that one is that came from one of the calls from cash offers. They've been
Mhm.
in it like they only owe 199 on it, so they want to sell it quick.
Mhm.
And I also had a listing appointment Monday night for a property that's like 650, and I'm
Mhm.
working on numbers for them now to go back. So we dropped calls today.
Whew. Okay. Now, I know Wanda, you've been running campaigns literally every week. Is that correct?
Well, the last 2 weeks I
Mhm.
did not because I was trying to catch up
I
because
gotcha.
I attended a lot of data
Yeah,
back
yeah,
in November and December trying to do that end of the year thing.
yeah.
And so some of my data, I'm starting to go back on it now
Mhm.
the second time. The one that was dropped today
Mhm.
was one that was actually dropped back in November. So I redropped it today.
That's good. Now, give me some context on this. On the one on Monday for 650, do you think you're going to lock it down?
Yes, yes.
Good. Now, which one was that? Was that the data from November? Was that from the most
That
recent
was
one? Was that which
No,
one was
that was from a call in January.
it?
But they
January. Okay.
were out of town for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? And they said, let's schedule it for when we get out of town. But they gave me their email address. So, I emailed them. And when they got back into town on Monday, I called to confirm our appointment. They said, can't wait to meet with you.
Okay. I like that. Well, keep rocking it. Oh, what about that big one? Did you ever like? I know last time I think you said the
It's
commercial
kind of
referral one.
it's going to take a long time because remember
Oh,
the
yeah.
seller was like, oh, I want to sell. Now he's decided that maybe he needs to wait 2 years because then he'll be able to retire. So maybe he shouldn't sell it until retirement. So he's going to wait, but we're still in conversations with him.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right. Okay, well, thank you so much. Hey, quick question, Wanda. I think I'm gonna start asking this. Before you joined the program, Wanda, before you joined the program,
Right.
what did you think about the program that we got going on here? What was the hesitation?
Well, I just wasn't sure, that the numbers really would be any good.
Hmm.
And, to drop call, that really excited me
Hmm.
because I'd rather somebody call me back,
Hmm.
than to feel like I'm making a cold call.
Yeah,
Because it's a lot easier to talk to somebody when they're calling you back because they say,
yeah.
"Hey, I missed your call. Are you calling about my property, so and so?" So yeah.
And I think if I remember, Wanda, you've been on like getting my emails for a long time, if I remember. I think that's what you said.
It's like June, and I
Yeah,
signed
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the end of October. I
Okay.
yeah, I done some homework, and I was like, I really think that this is good. And I have just been so impressed. As a matter of fact, my husband's in real estate as well, and he told somebody last week, he didn't disclose what we were doing, but he did say that he thought that this was the best lead generation program that we had ever been a part of.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Wanda, for that. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. You heard it here. I'm going to go ahead and mute you here. Thank you so much for that. And let's see here. So quick question. Did you get value out of today's training? I want to open up to Q&A. And if you did, let me know in the chat box, and then let me know in the survey as well at the end of this. Worm lead. Yep, Wanda's great. She's trying to catch up. Yeah, it's just keep on. That's why I say it's just parlay, double down, triple down, And as long as I said earlier, the list that you're going after, long as the list that you're going after has a shorter, longer expiration date, right? Then boom, like it's just impossible not to double your business. Okay. Hector says, don't double down in my city. That's funny. Yeah, double, triple, quadruple down. I cannot stress that enough. Okay. So quick question. This is my shameless plug here, as I've said, because we are getting towards the end of the deadline for this month's data pen, right? So if you want tier 1 credit header phone numbers, Wanda's the one that's working on it. You saw make sure you saw the 2 testimonials, right? They're all using tier 1 credit header quality phone numbers that we're providing. The reason why we're doing it now is because we saw that students and clients were having challenges getting the cost down to what we get it for, and then plus the pain in the butt of signing a contract with a long-term contract, right? They just didn't want to do that, contract being, thousands and thousands of dollars a month. So we ended up doing it and pulling now our resources together with our clients and our students like you on here, where we can pass on the savings to be able to get results. So we're still in the beta testing stage, and so we've been in it for now like a full quarter. We're going to go on probably for a couple more quarters, but if you are interested in working the same, hit us up. You can pick up the phone and call 844-438-6587. Make sure you hit the button for tech support so you can talk to someone in tech if you need some ideas on what campaign, what list to pull. They'll help you out, or send an email to wecare@realestatestrategylab.net and make sure you subject line data application. And we can get you an application so we can get you approved, and then boom, we can rock and roll. And you can get started. So Justin said, I like you sending my ugly spreadsheet. LOL. God bless you guys. Yeah. Send us your spreadsheet that you got. The kind of the joke that we say is my tech team, I hate this when I said let them get carpal tunnel, not you. I'm just kidding. So all right, so if you got any questions, type your questions in the chat box so I can address those and answer any questions that you might have so we can help you out. Hector says 10,000 properties, I'm going to append all my condos in my county. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Okay. Yeah, so Hector said 10,000 properties, I'm going to append all my condos in my county. Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Okay, but do you see how he's going wide, right? But then he's going after what? Deals that usually people don't go after. Like, think about this for a second, okay, in your marketplace. All right. And I'll use one in Silicon Valley, right? Like I have a friend out there that is a quote unquote investor that goes after only condos in that area. You might be like, what, condos? Who the heck goes after condos? Okay. But yeah, he did that. And not only that, but specifically what he did was he bought them at the bottom of the market using an ARM. Okay. Specifically, okay, using an ARM, adjustable rate mortgage. Right, you might be like, whoa, that's way too aggressive, but then he just understood. He's an older gentleman, been through multiple cycles since the 70s, and he's like, dude, I'm gonna lock everything I can possibly lock up with, and I don't care. This place always goes back up. Made a killing, unloading them. All right. And so for someone like Hector saying that, right, is just like, you got to think about it, right? Like certain things people just don't market to. So like if you hear stuff where people in your office or your friends are like, I'm doing direct mail, and you ask, oh, so what are you going after? And they'll be like, oh yeah, this and that. And you'll be like, well, which one do you not go after? And they're just like condos. That might be a list you want to hit. You get what I'm trying to say? Because no one else is going after those. Okay. Remember like the land one example I gave you, right? Like, dude, like no one goes after those. Why are we doing it? Because no one goes after. I like those. Okay. Justin says, I like you sending, no, I think I read that. Kevin says, out of state owners all day. Yep. Absentee owners out of state. Those are great. Sasha said, did you get my application? We probably did if you sent it. We are working through it. It's kind of a middle of the month is always the crazy month. So lock it in. Yeah. Deadline is actually this Friday. We might do a slight extension, but probably not. But we're trying to give the notices to every single one of you guys and gals because we've had it where people are just like, they'll text me, be like, Jeff, I missed this. Come on. Like, I'm just like, can you I'm like, dude, I cannot, so please be aware of that. We only do it once a month. And we try to give plenty of notices, and there's plenty of help on being able to get lists and be able to append, right? So if you're not picking up the phone and calling, then, I don't know what else to do other than I know my support team calls out too, right? Like you might have gotten call from some of my, I told them, instructing them. So that's my recommendation. Okay. What other questions you guys and gals have? Can you do a specific training on wholesaling? I might, depending on some people that are interested. So if you are interested in that, actually, you know what? Here, let me ask you this. Let me ask actually a couple questions. So first off, who's planning to append data this month? Let me know. Saying I'm going to append data this month in the chat box. Let me get that out of the way. I think Jimmy, you already. I think we already got you locked in, so we're good. I remember reviewing your student profile, so you're good. Gisela, yep, me. Okay, good. Who else? Let me not type it in, so I can send the list over to my support team, so we can make sure that they can get that all taken care of you. Jenny says, I don't know where to begin. I would say contact our support team. Julie, same thing. I do, please. Damon, I know you already signed up. Yep, Julie. I'm working on it, KJ. Yep. Yeah. So again, reach out, talk to somebody, or shoot an email to get some better insight. Okay. And as I said, if this is the first time you're appending it, then just go wide. Right? Like someone like Jenny, I don't know where to begin. Just say, hey, this is my area. This is my zip. And then you may just want to do that area. Right? Like that might be the easiest thing for you to do. Because what I don't want you to do is, again, go through this process of like this, right? You look at this, and if you haven't done some, kind of like marketing at a high level, right? You're going to look at this and be like, whoa, this seems like a lot of information. Like, oh my gosh, right? Like, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed. Remember, as I said, is the process in this to get this things done is really easy. What do we talk about? This process: plan, do, check, act, continuous improvement. Right? And it starts off with the step number one being what? Appending data right here. Step one. Like until you do this, you can't get to the do part. Okay? And really these four things on here are money-making activities that's going to get you better. And your goal is to run multiple campaigns so you can go around the circle over and over and over again. Okay? And you become better and better and better and better. All right? I'm working on them. Good, cool. Okay, so yes, thank you so much. Yeah, so another question I have is, depending on the feedback I get, I might do a special training on wholesaling if you're interested in this. So it says interested. I want to learn wholesaling. Let me know as well in the chat box. Why? Because I have a training course that I sold for wholesaling for a long time, but it's about I need to update it. So if that's the case, I might let you guys just put like a super cool deal where you don't have to pay anything out of your pocket and you can go on the training, but it's going to be on a different time, yeah, so I might figure out something like so cool that you can learn and you can do some stuff. Yeah. I want to know wholesale. Okay, yeah, interested in wholesale. Cool. Okay. I'll talk to my team about that and see if we can somehow put something in. Most likely, typically when I do these for my grizzled veterans who's been with me on my training, you guys know this. When I do these course updates for my other products, I do these boot camps like on the weekend, and it's literally a long boot camp, right? I think Frank, you've been on it, where it's like I do it for 4 hours, so it is really intensive. Okay, and I go over case studies of deals that I'm working on, how I close this, the money, like I literally show you everything. Okay, so just be aware of that if you're interested, and that's how typically it's going to be. It will be recorded, so you can get a copy of that, but that's how it's going to be. And really, I'm doing it so that way, throughout that, I can like unmute and have live conversations as I'm having with y'all here, and that's what we do, right? So when we update training, so okay, cool. Thank you so much for the folks that are interested. We'll put together some and we'll probably send an email out on that. So yeah, so again, Q&A if you're interested. I'm sorry, questions, type your questions in. And again, I can't like if you're like I think I saw Jenny who said I'm not sure where to start, or was it Julie? If you're not sure, like contact us. Right? Like I cannot stress that enough. Like you see, like, I communicate with my students, like they text me, we go back and forth, we talk and things like that, right? So again, I may not have all the answers, but I will be able to at least ask you, different questions that can lead you to different answers. Okay. Like as I said earlier, is one of the number one things you're going to run into is as you discover about this lead generation, where I say you don't have a lead generation problem, is what kind of business do I ultimately want, right? This is going to be one of your toughest questions that you're going to have to answer, and I cannot answer that for you, right? Because in the space of our business and our industry, right, the ideas that we get typically is not ours. It's ingrained, and the idea of what a quote unquote successful individual in real estate is implanted by society, implanted by the brokers, implanted by our friends, implanted by advertise, implanted by all kinds of stuff. Okay, so the question is, as you start making the money and lead generation is not a problem, you have to really ask yourself, what type of business do I want? And that is going to ultimately position you on where you want to go. Okay, like for example, all right, I always talk about how I like multiple streams of income, and for me personally, I like to have a team of really, like I call it literally Team Titan, like our acquisition team. I call it Team Titan, right? It is because they're gladiators, they're badasses, right? And they go out, and you hear like one of the guys on here, right? He's hearing on it, right? No script, no nothing. He's go on. Yeah, he sounds kind of salesman-ish, right? But I don't have to give him that much direction other than run a campaign. He goes out and he brings stuff back. I like that. I'm a laissez-faire type of manager. Okay, and versus some other individuals, they're a little bit different, right? They want to have a high, like I have a client of mine that's a high power brokerage, owns 6 offices, right? Doing over like $1 billion in sales and stuff like that. I can't say who, but like they grew it, blow it up. But you know what the challenge and issue they're running into? It's not profitable. I'll say it again. It's not profitable. So it's really like, from the outside world, you look and they're like, damn, killing it, crushing it, whoa, dang. And then it's just like, you look at the balance sheet, you're just like, dude, you ain't making no money. So for the folks who've been there, right, where you've grown up a company where top line revenue looks amazing, you talk to people and be like, damn, man, you're crushing it, you're killing it, you're the top producer, everyone's like, bowing down to you. But in reality, you look at the end of the day, numbers, you're just like, dude, the numbers don't make sense. And then what happens usually? You regress back, right, to the point where you were comfortable with, which was, if you're doing over $1 million, you might go down to 200, 300, so you can net more and stuff like that. And you run into these challenges, right? But it gets to a point where you got to bust through that. You either stay small or you're going to have to bust through. And again, that's the thing that you're going to be faced with when you understand lead generation is not a problem anymore. And that, I cannot answer that for you. I can give you ideas on what other people have done, right? But it ultimately boils down to who you are as an individual and what kind of business you want, right? Like I got clients of mine that knows that, hey, you know what, I'm going to crush it doing this. So they append a lot of data, right, for transactional stuff, and they make bunch of closing, bunch of cash, but they're purposely staying lean and holding on to cash. But what are they doing? They're buying rentals. They're buying rentals. They're buying rentals. That's what they're doing. They added some wholesale game, so they know how to wholesale, so they'll do that. They'll maybe rehab 1 or 2 deals a year, if that. Okay, and then they parlay that into what? Rentals. Rentals, rentals, rentals. Okay. I have another client of mine that does the same thing. Traditional real estate, does some investment stuff, right? But they're on the younger side, and they see the change in our business. So what are they parlaying their money in? They're parlaying their money in a marketing agency in the space of real estate, right? So they're doing services and they're running this as a service for other people, right? There's another person I have where they do expansion, team expansion with a particular brokerage where you get like stock ownership, that kind of stuff. I won't say who, but they're doing that and they're using this model to recruit agents all across the nation. And they're just like literally taking bigger splits from them and getting overrides and letting them just follow up on deals all day long. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information, but that's what I'm talking about, where once you solve one part of your business, it's not like magically everything just falls in its place. No, you're going to run to other challenges, but you're ultimately going to be faced with what type of business do you want to have at the end. And nobody knows that better than yourself. I can give you suggestions and ideas. You know, the holy grail in businesses, I'll tell you, is cash flow, right? It's cash flow. The thing you do today that pays you later on, right? Like that's the holy grail. You know, other people will be like, well, Jeff, it's about top line revenue and growth. You know, you got to get massive scale. So there's a tipping point. And then after that, you get an actual buyout. You know, some people say that, you know, like that was, you know, one particular client that were so convinced on that, you know, so, but I helped them, right? But what we're running into is, you know, the market cycle. You know, we're in, like, depending on who you listen to, right? Are we in the fourth quarter of this 4-quarter, you know, bull market? Are we in the 7th inning, you know, 8th inning, you know, I don't know, like, right? Like, depending on the market cycle. Now he's trying to get a buyout of the brokerage he built on with some of the bigger brokerages, and he's running into issues and challenges. Right now, if he gets that, he's going to get massive cash out. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But versus some other individual that have just states, you know, kind of a solo guy with the, you know, TC and assistant, legitimately, like, you know, like I'll tell you, you know, here, I'll read the text to you, right? Like he basically, and it all comes from data pending, by the way, but he basically says this, okay, here, I'll read you the text. It's kind of hilarious. Not a hilarious in a thing, but what's possible, right? He says, I'm thinking I should flip my, and this is his apartment complex, right? He says I'd get $500,000. And then I basically tell him, rule of thumb, like the 1% rule is, if you can collect accelerated rents net for over 10 years, usually you want to sell. That's a starting point. Okay, so I'm giving him some kind of insights on that. And he says, I net $2,500. And I told him, hey, I like the fact you use thinking versus I feel like selling. Okay, and then he basically says 2,500 times 12 is 30,000 times 10 equals 300,000. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So based on that, you know, it makes sense for him to possibly sell. Really makes sense. Okay, now keep in mind, this particular building, right? He's had it for what, less than 2 years. How many houses you need to sell to actually be able to make $500,000 in 2 years? Okay, so you give 30% to taxes, right? Let's just say he doesn't 1031 into it. Okay, fine, pay your 30% taxes. Okay, but let's just say you don't 1031. Say, who, screw it, pay Uncle Sam. Heck it, give it all 50% away of the $500,000, $250,000 after you pay taxes. How many deals do you need to actually sell to pocket that into money? You get what I'm trying to say? So again, it depends on the individual on what kind of business. So he decided, he was crystal clear on doing it that way. But he's laser focused. Okay, laser focused. A pen, drop, campaign, follow up. That's it. Get the low hanging fruit. Been doing that for 3 years. Well, actually, no, he's going 4 years now. Yeah, so more cash flow. Yeah, smaller units that bring in $1,000. Yeah, no, he's going to go for bigger units. Yeah, so yeah. And I told him the other one, like over the phone, I've had conversation with too. And this is a build, and I'll tell you kind of an interesting story about this one, right? Is about a deal when he was about to buy it. He was nervous about getting it. He would just want to wholesale it. If he wholesaled it, he would have made $40,000. Okay, he would have made $40,000 if he'd have wholesaled without touching it. Okay, he would have made $40,000. Okay, absolutely made $40,000. Okay. But I said, no, you need to figure out a way to buy this and hold on to it. And he says, okay, fine. Okay. So he had to hit up all these lenders, even go raise some money, right? But he figured it out and closed on it. Yes, he had to do some construction, take some tenants out, fix it. Okay. And he did that. Took him longer than expected, about 5 months. And then he refied out with the commercial loan, okay, for the money he put in. He got it all out. And then it cash flows him $2,500. Now, less than 2 years later, because of forced appreciation, because he got it to perform again, guess what? He can cash out $500,000 gross, okay? After taxes, without 1031, you'll still pocket what? $250,000. All right? And he's just pig-headed, stubborn, sticking to his ways. And that's totally okay. All right. And that's what I mean by the questions. There's a saying, Tony Robbins said it. So I think if he didn't, then I would say Jim Rohn said it. It says the quality of your life is determined by the what? Questions you ask. Right? The quality of your life is determined by the questions you ask. And it's so true. So the question is, what type of questions are you willing to ask that's going to fundamentally help you out on where you want to go? And that question of where you want to go, no one can answer that other than yourself. Okay. Matter of fact, there is a poster in my office that I look at every day when I come into the office. It says, watch your thoughts for they become words. Watch your words for they become action. Watch your actions for they become habits. Watch your habits for they become character. And watch your character for it becomes your destiny. All right. And it is so true. Okay. Because it all starts with what are you willing to focus on? Okay, your thoughts. And then the words you tell yourself. I'm going to run my campaign. It's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and just keep on boom, 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 pounding away. Okay? And that's what works. Hank said, what do you get your money out? Hank, what is get your money out of the market campaign? I think Hank, you might have watched the last week's or the week before training. Get your money out of the market campaign. So this campaign is these campaigns. First off, disclaimer. Okay, how do we figure out these campaigns? Is because I listen to the calls and I try to figure out why the sellers do what they do. You saw, hey, the 3 reasons why people sell. Hold on. Financial reasons, personal issues, life cycle issues. Okay, so we're listening to calls, and what we come to realize was a lot of people that bought homes in 2004 to 2007 were selling now. Okay. And then it's just like, why? And then you start listening to the calls and you start figuring out why. Because these people were the people that did the right thing. Okay. Meaning they bought at a wrong time, in a sense, looking back now, right? Which is, especially if you're in like the West Coast or areas that appreciate it high, okay? They just bought at the wrong time, meaning the market was at the peak. They bought, they put 20% down, and they didn't refinance and take their money out using ninja loans, option arm, neg am loans, right? Those type of loans. They didn't pull the money out, and they stayed there, lived there. And what? Depending on where you consider the bottom of your market, over a decade later, they finally are break even in terms of what they bought it for and what they can possibly sell it for. But they have principal reduction plus what? The equity from the 20% down that they did. Those people want to get cashed out. Right? They want to get cashed out. Not to mention, okay? And here's where you have to know your industry. Right? You have to know this. This is where it's not, I'm not giving you some boilerplate marketing sales line and be like, hey, here you go, you say this and magically these sellers will sell. No, you just got to know your industry, right? Which is if they're married, how much, if they're principal residents and they're married, how much can they sell their home? Like how much can they pocket into their hip national bank without paying taxes? Anyone? If they're single, how much? If they're married, how much? How much can they do? You got it. $500,000 and $250,000. Okay, $500,000 if they're married. Single, it's $250,000. Okay. So You got to be aware of that. So imagine like they put 20% down, okay, over a decade ago when they just bought at the wrong time and they got principal reduction. They did rate and term refi, right? Because at that time rates were a lot higher than it went down, right? Plummeted. And then they did rate and refi, and then they did a 30-year. Some of them did the right thing and they did like a 15-year, right? They're trying to pay it off, right? Nothing wrong with it. But what they come to realize is they didn't understand that if they decide to move because of a life cycle issue, right? Life cycle issue or personal issue, okay? Or big one, tax purposes, they get smart and be like, dude, that's silly. I need to take advantage of this $500,000 of not paying taxes on it. Guess what? Sell the darn place. Is that making sense? Like, you have to be able to have that conversation with the seller. So the point of me telling you that story on what to get the market out of the get your money out of the market campaign is that's the discovery that we found out with people having conversation. We're just like, dude, if that's the case, let's just go after those type of individuals. And that's what we've been doing. Now, can this get your market out of the, campaign? Is that going to work, 24, 36 months from now? I don't know. Right? It's just like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we were talking about a campaign that was working really well. Remember, it was, in our state, right? This people in California crushed it on this. Was the Costa-Hawkins Repeal Act campaign. Remember, they're trying to make the whole state a rent control state. It didn't pass, but while it was on the ballot, we used that to market the crap out of it, right? Going after what? Absentee owners. And I told people to go do that. So you have a different conversation and narrative you can have with the actual seller. Okay? And this is part of knowing your local business. I mean, like your local marketplace on what's going on, what's happening, and things like that. All right? Yeah, Jake said a subject matter expert. Correct, yeah. 100%. Like, I wish I could like unplug a chip that I know about the marketplace, and then plug it into you and then be like, here you go. And you can do the same thing with me. Right? Like, for example, like, I was talking to this, I have a almost a 1-year-old, right? So I wish like someone that has experience, like, raising like 4 kids or 5 kids, right? Or 3 kids, right? More kids than me. I wish they can like unplug something and like stick it in my head, to be able to, so I have more experience, right? But it's just, I'm going through it, it's just crazy, like, yeah, to a point where I didn't realize how, like I just posted this on, my social media, people are laughing about it, is I didn't realize how catchy these kids' jingles are. Okay, so I'm watching my daughter and then this thing comes on, right? And I'm just like, yeah, you might have heard of it. It would be like, baby shark do 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 do, baby shark do 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 do, baby shark do 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 do, baby shark do 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 do, baby shark, right? And be like, mommy shark, right? Like, just like this stuff is like stuck in my head. So 4:30 a.m., like that's the first thing I wake up and I'm saying that, like waking up like baby shark, I'll be like getting ready for the gym. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm just like, what the heck is going on in my brain? Like, usually, like, so the point of it, I'm telling this weird story about like, baby sharks and do. If you don't have young kids, or maybe, like if you don't know, then you don't know, but it's just, yeah, it's just catchy, is what the brain does. Okay. And what we're not even aware of, right? Remember I said, watch your thoughts before they become words, watch your words before they become action. So, Shane said that's played out. Sheesh, I don't know, man. So it could be played out, I guess. It may not be for the next couple of years for me. So we'll see. But the point is, again, you just got to know. So, subject matter expert. I have 5 kids, so I can relate. There we go. Yeah. So I wish like you could give me a chip and stick it in my head and be like, here, this is what you should expect. This is what's going to happen. This, right? Like I can do that. But until you go through it, I don't know. And it's the same thing as, before I was a parent, they would always say that, Jeff, until you become a father, you don't know how it is to be a father or a parent. And it's so true, right? So me telling you like campaigns and running and appending and running this, like you hear these people talking about, I don't have a lead generation problem, I have a conversion and follow-up problem, right? To many of you, if you haven't run the campaigns and not seeing the success, you just don't believe it. Like, or you just don't know. You might sort of kind of, right? But until you run into that, you just don't know. And then when you run into that, then the question is, what do you do? And then I always tell people, don't take the foot off the pedal off the, right? Just parlay it, double down, go hard. Okay, and that's my kind of mess. I went on a long rant, but anyways, we're coming to the end of this, so hopefully you got value out of today's training. The recording will be available in the actual academy within the next 24, 48 hours, so look for that. Beyond that, our team will reach out to you if you are looking to pen data. Make sure you send us the file, and make sure you place your order as well. Other than that, go out there and dominate humbly. That's what I got. So love you guys. Take care, and bye-bye.